Good afternoon. Today is our second day working on database management systems and in particular Microsoft Access. For those of you who are curious and want to learn more details in advance about databases, I uploaded a new file in detail content chapter 7. The file name is chapter 6 DBMS. This DBMS file is not from this class, it is from CS 301, when we discuss in details many different types of information systems and especially databases as foundations of the business intelligence. And one chart here just to represent from another point of view, here it is, the purpose of contemporary databases. As I mentioned yesterday, the idea is to incorporate all first data, company data in one central database, and second, all applications to use through this database management system to have access to this centralized data. In this way, the database management systems will reduce the data redundance, data inconsistency. It will be better to manage data and so forth and so forth. But this, as I mentioned, only if you are curious. It will not change, it will change nothing about the current chapter we are working on, and it is mainly for your information. In this and the next week, as I mentioned, we are going to cover Microsoft Access as an example of database management systems. And why exactly Microsoft Access? Because this is the most frequently used relational database management system. And next step, which is not part of this class, but next step from Microsoft Access is to go to Microsoft Power BI. As you can see from this recent survey, every year Gartner presents the so-called Magic Quadrant for analytics and business intelligence platforms, and in the last several years, Microsoft is the top leader with the Microsoft Power BI software. Again, this is also not topic of our current discussion, and in the next CS class, CS 240 and after that CS 301, we'll have enough time to discuss and to learn how to use Microsoft Power BI. One important, very important note. Microsoft Power BI is intelligent software mainly to develop reports and dashboards. And the basis for every report are two applications, spreadsheets and databases. Or for Microsoft Power BI, these are Microsoft Excel and Microsoft Access. Of course, very soon, Microsoft Azure, which is another application of SQL, or just let's call it database management systems, will be in a big use. But right now, what is very, very useful to know is about these two basic programs, Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Access. Why relational? What does it mean? Again, to remind you, it is because we develop small data tables, very similar to Excel data tables, but slightly different as we learned yesterday. And these data tables, we relate with the help of a common field, which we referred yesterday to as primary key, and we'll learn how to assign a primary key. We can connect one primary table and one or more secondary or target tables. As a result, we'll have like in Microsoft Excel, one very, very large data table that may handle not just thousands, but millions of records. All right, today we continue working with Microsoft Access, and now after introducing and learning in general how to use Microsoft Access window and major options, now we'll start working with Microsoft Access by opening an existing already database. Yesterday, we learned how to start with a blank database, and we created our first database. Today, we'll use a case. This case, by the way, is explained in the text database text PDF file, which is also here in the folder, in chapter 7 folder, content on D12. And the case is about a landscaping company. And they already entered data for customers, for some contracts, and finally some invoices. What is the logic in landscaping business like in many other businesses? Well, the idea here is that first we need customers. To do business, we need customers. So first we start creating customer list. After that, with the help of marketing department, we promote our business and we sign contracts with some of these customers. All well to maintain their yards, plant some shrubs or trees or flowers, and finally the best part for in doing business is sending them invoices and receiving payments for these invoices. So the logic is that first we must start with the data list or database for customers, company customers, and selecting this file, and just when we click twice, we will open this file. All right, now something very important. I'll slow down a little bit, so if necessary, those of you who are using remote control can connect to PowerSchool PC Lab and open from there Microsoft Access and then the file customer. Here, I just want to show you something. It's not important, just waiting for others to come. All right. Each of these tables, each of these files contain one or more data tables. I will close in the end, just opening now, waiting, and I hope very soon all of you will have these files open. It's not so. Please, if you already do it, let's clarify. We don't need all three of them open. So if you have open, let's say invoices, close it. How do we close? By standard using the X tab, the right upper corner. If you have open also contract database file, close it. And finally, all right, finally, we have a customer database with customer worksheet. Oh, it's not a worksheet. It looks like worksheet, but it's a data table. We'll talk about this in a second. And you can see here, contract. Wait a second. Contract was in a different file. So probably we don't need it. Well, to be honest, we'll need it, but later on. So that's why we'll practice. If we don't need a table or any other object from the navigation pane, what do? We just right click and select delete. Delete. Oh, it's dangerous. And we confirm, and that's it. Okay, and also in this way we open close data tables like customer data table before we open or close the whole database. All right, I believe now all of you have opened Microsoft Access software through remote access in PowerShell or through your computer, and we have the customer file open. First thing, as we did yesterday, we created a database and we call it My First Database. All right, today we'll do in the beginning something very similar. So we go to File menu and Save As. Something I did not mention yesterday, but now, because I believe you're more confident with Microsoft Access, I can share with you. In Microsoft Access, if you can see from my screen, there are two Save As options. One works for the whole file, and the other is when we are working only with an object. You wait here, I'll quickly go to show you what do I mean. So if I select an object, a data table, then with File Save As menu, can you see it's active now? I can save this object as a table or something else. Or if we want to file and save as the whole database, now, as you can see, the Save Object As is not active because I close the object, the data table, and now we can use only the option Save Database As. So, how to save it? We'll save it as an Access database. Current version of Microsoft Access. As you can see, there are many sub-options, but this is what we need. So we'll click Save As. In the folder that you are using, so find your folder from yesterday. Okay, here it is. Here is mine, I mean, and we'll save it with your name. And now we'll give it name. This is the name of the case, Belmont. B-E-L-M-O-N-T. So your name, Belmont, you can add, if you want, after that, DB, database, or customer database, file name, as you know, could be different in different size. So we enter as much as we need to understand what this file is all about. So after that, I don't know what did we do, but anyways, we are sure today that there is nothing wrong with our file, so we can enable this content and be ready to continue with Belmont database. All right, what is first task? As we said, task number 1 is to enter data about customers. The company, the Belmont company, did already this, and if you click twice, you will open, and here we see a data table. Again, to remind you, Excel data tables look like Microsoft Excel worksheets, but they're slightly different. First difference, As you can see, columns have no names, no fixed names as Microsoft Excel worksheets, A, B, C, D, and so forth. Here, by default, each column has a name, field, and number. Field 1, field 2, field 3. But we can change this name by clicking twice on the field name. Second, there are no row numbers. As you can see, rows are blank. This here column is for some special information. But we have the very first column, here we call it field, which is usually used as unique identifier or the so-called primary key. And in real-life business, first example, of course, is your student database at Walla University with your student ID as your unique identifier. In our business, we can use different codes to create customer IDs. And what is more important, this field must serve as a primary key. How do we recognize and where did we assign the primary key? In the very first menu on the ribbon, which does not exist in this way in Microsoft Excel, menu view exists, but it's different, not like this. And here we have opportunity to switch between data sheet view or data view and design view. Design view, which we discussed yesterday. And here, just to remind you and to show you where is the primary key field and the small key that identifies the primary key. Once we click on primary key, the program will assign the primary key for the given field. Second time we click, it's removed. So it means that we can assign primary key for each file based on this unique identifier, unique code. And in this case, it's already given, but we should verify. And yes, it is customer ID as a primary key. And we can continue working with this file. Oh, again, to remind you, every time we change the structure of the file, the program will ask to save this change. But it will not ask if we add or change data. For example, if we want to enter new record, how do we do this? Well, we just enter, let's say, customer 5,000, actually it's 50,000. Can you see the program after I entered this code, immediately open a blank record or row, and here we can enter test data. Oops, wrong. As a matter of fact, everything is for test. Okay, now in the taskbar at the bottom, you can see each record number, and you can jump from record from beginning to the end. Plus, if you click the very last tab, you can also enter a new record. If you don't want, you just return somewhere within the table. How we erase a record? First thing, let me show you something else to remind you. Now, if I close this table, the program did not ask me anything about saving. Why? Just to remind you, because all data changes are updated in real time, immediately. Okay, so how to erase a row record? We just select this row, then we right click the whole record and select delete record. Well, this is dangerous, that's why be careful before deleting any part of database. All right, meaning we just learn or remind ourselves how to navigate and use a database. We can close this and continue with the next step. And the step is to consolidate, in other words, to combine existing data files into one bigger database. So our user already created files for customers, contracts, and invoices, but they're in a separate files in separate databases. Now, similar to what was chapter 7 in Microsoft Excel, to import files from Word documents or database management systems will perform this, but be careful here, this is slightly different. So we go to external data. Can you see here? We can select what we want to import. Okay, here is Microsoft Access. Oh, but wait a second, it says export, not import. Where to find? Well, it is in the first menu, import and link. All right, so from new data source, we can select whether we want to import data from Excel or text file or other web source or from a database. As you can see, I just mentioned this is the new product of Microsoft company, and very soon, because this is more professional SQL Server database and more useful for Power BI, it will be improved more and more and more. SQL Server is a universal type of software. As I told you, we'll discuss it in CS301 class. And here is Microsoft Access, meaning from another Microsoft Access file. Okay. First thing, when we select this option, we must find where is our file. So we browse and go again with the same as we did when saving the file. We go to find where is our folder, Microsoft Access folder is, and here it is. Here is mine. We have opened customers. Next is the contracts file. We select, we click open, confirm, and sometimes a file may contain not only one, but more objects, more databases, data files. So, I mean, data tables or queries or forms, and so forth and so forth. So in this case, it's only contract data table. So we select, we click OK, do not save import steps, and just close to import it. The new data table contract appear. Now we will repeat it with another, and this is for invoices. So we go back to new data source, from database, Microsoft Access. Now no need to go through the whole path because the program will remember the current path used, and we need to select the new data table that is in the file invoices. We click open and OK. And again, it's only one data table, so we select invoices, confirm with OK, and close. And here we have all three of them. Just for quick verification, I will open customer, 40 records, contracts, 65 records. Why more than the number of customers? Well, because we can have more than one contract signed with the customer. Number 3, invoices. Invoices, the largest number of records, because we have not only one invoice for a contract, but we can have a few invoices for different contracts. And because we can also have different number of contracts for each customer, that's why we can expect to have many, many more invoices than the number of customers. All right, we can close them now. And just for a second, I will continue with the PowerPoint and show you what is our next goal. So we'll learn about working with a data table. And now we see something that it looks new, creating a simple query. The next one is creating a simple form. And finally, creating a simple report. All right. Now we continue and I'll explain the purpose of each of them. So we learned already how to work with data tables. Second group of objects in the navigation pane are the queries. Or, matter of fact, there is no grouping or ranking. So next group could be forms, next group reports, and of course we can have few more groups, but they are at advanced level. We will not discuss them. Everything starts from create. Here you can see different groups in this menu. Tables, we already know how to create a table. Then queries, then forms, then reports, and finally modules, macros, codes, and so forth and so forth. Let's go and start doing this one step at a time. And today we'll just create some examples. Let me return to the PowerPoint and show each of them so can explain what is the purpose about. What is a query? This is in general a report, an answer about a question we ask about the records, data records that are stored in our database. The simple query wizard, which is very similar to what chapter 7 in our book with Microsoft Excel shows, allow to create very, very easy, very, very fast, very, very simple queries. Well, this is not our goal, but we'll continue on Thursday with the professional approach. Today we'll use the wizards or creating simple objects with Microsoft Access. All right, we'll select the leading data table, customer, and we'll try queries, forms, and reports. But wait a second. Did I mention that we're talking about relational databases? Yes, we do. Did I mention that we can use all of them as one big table, which contains all data tables, but all of them connected, related? Yes, I did. But how do we know if they are connected, and how do we create relations? This we can do in database tools. Database tools allow to create relationships. I'll return to the PowerPoint and jump a little bit. So, okay, to show you the idea of the table relationships, already introduced in the beginning of the PowerPoint, but here a little bit more detailed view. We need a primary table. And the primary table, primary key or field must be connected to the same field, same column in secondary or target data table. This so-called common field, which is primary key in the first table, but not primary key, because otherwise they'll be the same. That is other, usually we call it foreign key in the other tables, allow us to connect one table to many other tables. That's why this kind of relationship is referred to as one-to-many relationship. Can we use one table as once as target and second time as a primary? Well, yes, of course, we can. For example, customer ID from the first table could be used, and it is used in contracts as foreign key, and here we can create a link between these two tables. If we need, here this chart does not show us, so we'll return and I'll show you. I'll open all three tables. Okay, so customer has primary key, customer ID. Okay, in contract, we see customer ID as another column or field. In invoices, we don't see customer ID, but we see contract number, which is the primary key from contract number. Okay, so if we change the view of all data tables to design view, here it's easy to understand. So customer has a field name, customer ID, which we call primary key. In contract, the key, meaning the primary key, is set up to be the contract number. We can add here primary key. This is just explanation for users. If you know, you don't need, but it's better to have it. Second, customer ID. Oh, this is the same field as the customer ID from customers. Here we can call it, this common field is the foreign key. All right, good. Then invoices has a primary key, invoice number. We can refer to here, we can call it primary key. And we see contract number. Is this the same contract number? Yes, it is the contract number from contract. And we call it here foreign key. Foreign key. Wait a second. The skeptic will ask, are we sure that this, for example, customer ID field is exactly the same as the customer ID from the first worksheet, data table? Very good question. Of course, we can open them in view, data table view. Okay, and we can compare. We can compare the records. Well, if this is a new database, sometimes we may need this, but if not, we can trust the developer and assume that they are the same. Wait a second. This is not the professional approach. At least we can check these fields parameters. Let's return back to the design view. Invoices need to be saved. And then because we changed some design view, all right, here. So we have all three of them open in design view. And what we can do is to compare these common fields. Let's start with customer ID. Customer ID, the primary key in customer data table. The data type is short text. And from field properties, we can find out that the size is 5. Okay, very good. Let's compare it now with customer ID in contract data table. So it was short text, size of 5. Customer ID, short text. Wait a second. It's a short text, but size is 255. Well, if there is a difference in primary or the common field properties, they must match the primary key field. This is the leading field. All right, so we must change this field size from 255 to 5. Okay, we did. And it's a good idea to save it. How? Well, many options. Just save. Oh, that means we must save. How? By changing the view is the fastest way. Okay, save. Save. Yes, what did I do? I confirm that I approve the change in contract from 225 field size to 5. Sorry, probably I was too fast, but this is what I approved. So changing the view is the fastest way to see if we made a change in the structure, and we can continue working with the object. Next is to compare contract number, primary key contract, with the common field contract number or the foreign key in invoices. All right. Here in contract number, primary key, short contract number, short text, size 255. In invoices, contract number. Here it's a number. Wait a second. It was short text 255, and here it's a number. The rule we mentioned is to match the primary key. So contract number, sorry, here contract number, short text, size 255. Invoices, contract number, number. We open and change it to text, short text, size 255. Okay, contract number, short text, size 255. Invoices, foreign key, contract number, short text, 255. Okay, changing the view, we'll save it, and then we'll return. Now we have all keys, common keys, compared and validated according to their structure. From now on, if there is a problem, this problem could be due to difference in different data. But this we can find when we start developing different reports or queries and other things. All right, we'll close now these data tables, and go to database tools where we can develop, we can create the relationships. So database tools, and here relationships. Oh, if you can't see, this is very, very easy to manipulate interface window. And if you can't see, for example, here we see only customer and contract data table. If you can't see a table, right click in an empty part of the window, select show table, and from this list, add what you want. We need invoices, right? So we just drag and drop, that's it. We don't want to see any more tables, we just close it. We then arrange in user-friendly way, if necessary, even keep more space, more room between them. And finally, we are ready to start developing the relationships. All right, again, to remind you, the rule was to connect the primary key from the primary table to the foreign key in the secondary or target table. This primary key and foreign key, as a matter of fact, is one common field that is the same in both data tables. All right, what can we see here? We see customer ID in customer table, primary key, and customer ID in contract table, which is the foreign key there. Okay, so I'll be very slow so you can see and follow me. And second, when you're watching later on this record, you can understand easy what I did. So I select customer ID and drag and drop it over customer ID in contract data table. Drag and drop. Whether I was successful or not, I can understand by checking the new menu, its name is Edit Relationships. Okay, what can I see here? Table, customer, and field customer ID will be related to table contract and field customer ID, meaning that I selected, drag and drop perfectly the customer ID field from customer data table to contract data table. Okay, before we click create, there are a few important points to discuss, and you can take notes to remember, otherwise you may very easy forget them. What was the purpose when we link databases or data tables, simply? To make them working as a whole, as one big data table. Aha, so we need referential integrity, meaning to keep data consistent. Okay, so we check this option. When we check it, two sub-options appear. One is if we want to update all related fields, meaning we make a change in one data table and we want all related records in the target data tables to be updated too. Yes, this is what we want. Then, next option is to delete related records. First thing, remember, always deleting something, especially in databases, is dangerous. Second, what did we mention? We said that we can have a customer with more than one record. Okay, suppose we erase a record from contract, which, if we check this option, will erase also the customer in the customer database, data table. And this is wrong. Okay, that's why, remember, we never check this option unless there is a special instruction to check it. Good. So we enforce referential integrity and activated cascade update related fields. Next thing, what kind of join type between these two tables we want? Join type. Okay, three options. First option, to include only records or rows where the join fields from both tables are equal. Wait a second. What does it mean? It means that we cannot have differences between these two tables. Strange. Let's continue and we'll see whether this is our solution or not. Option number 2, include all records from customer and only those records from contract where the joint fields are equal. Oh, it's much better. It means we can have customers with no contracts. That is, we will have related all customers and only contracts that have customer ID. Is it possible to have a contract without customer ID? Well, technically only if this is a mistake. The third option, include all records from contract and only those records from customer where the joint fields are equal. Well, this is just the opposite, and apparently it's not for us because we cannot have customers, contracts without customers, and meaning in our case, and this is usually the common logic, option or property number 2 is the most common type or joint type or joint property. So we select, we click OK. And finally, we confirm and create. Oh, a link was created with directions. Now, very quickly, we'll repeat it for contract number from contract to invoices. Select contract number, drag and drop over contract number in invoices, verify this is contract number from query, from table contract to contract number in table invoices. Then we check, enforce referential integrity and update related fields. Before we click create, we select joint type. Again, the common case is number 2, option number 2. Why? Because it means we can have contracts without invoices and there is no invoice without a contract. So we include all records with contract and only those records from invoices where the joint fields are equal. We ready? We select OK and we create. And that's it. We just created links between customer and contract data tables and then between contract and invoices. This is the beginning in any large database development. After developing data tables to link them. So with this, we'll end today's presentation, but before that, let's close relationships and save. Close and confirm save. What's happened? I'll show you quickly. Now when we click on database tools and relationships, here we can see recorded, saved these relationships. Second, before we close our file, just to remind you, we go to File, Info, Compact and Repair Database to optimize the current data file. And finally, we close it. All right, so today we created a new database file and you can submit this file into Microsoft, into D12 assignments, and folder Microsoft Access in class. This is the end of the presentation. I will stop recording and we'll have time now for questions and answers.